Hey there, I wanted to give you a sneak peek for an event that I am doing at the ARIA for Structured Finance Association. They're amazing, amazing women in securitization cohort. And it's all around a couple things that maybe you haven't heard that much about but are incredibly, incredibly important when it comes to clarity. So at the time that I'm recording this, we are in February. It is the beginning of the year, but these things can be used throughout the year, any time of the year. But what I'm talking about is number one, agency. So in other words, a lot of times we have more agency than we think. In other words, control. So I'll talk about that in a moment. And for those of you who love control, me included, you will love to hear about this. And then also we're talking about identity. So in other words, if you've heard me say a million times, new level, new devil. So it's important to think about that next level, taking on that identity now. Even if there's a devil on your shoulder saying, who do you think you are? That's too much, or that's a crazy idea, or what have you. Just acknowledge and validate. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but I choose to take on that identity. And then also rituals. And rituals, there's a little bit of confusion between rituals and habits. So habits are things that we do very consistently, but like for example, a habit is 6 days a week I exercise in the morning. I might cycle or take the dog for a hike. However, if I wake up late or something happens, I still have the habit of exercising, but I might do it later. So habits are things that are ingrained, that you do them consistently, but there's some flexibility. Rituals are things that you do at a certain time, and they don't change at all. So in other words, they could be like, for example, I'm speaking a little later. And so for me, a ritual is getting up in the morning, doing stretching, doing a meditation, like grounding exercises. But one ritual that I have that I learned from a speaking mentor of mine, Bo Eason, is that I travel with a small rock. And you might think that's crazy, but the reason why is because we learned that when we step on a rock, it helps us feel grounded, and it's something that we have agency over, that and we don't have control over a lot of other things. In other words, how we're going to be perceived, how the audience is going to react, how the content's going to land, and all of that. But it will help us calm down when we have agency over certain things. And this agency can be grounded in rituals. And so it might be when you walk into a room to, touch the side of a door jamb, or it could be if you're having an important meeting, it could be every time you have an important meeting, you have a glass of water, take 3 deep breaths or something like that's what rituals are. And so the challenge for you is to think of one area where you have agency and where you can proceed with the end in mind. In other words, you decide how the year is going to end, because I want you to start thinking about, if the end of the year is here, what would make me most happy and proud? And you get to decide that it's already happened. Okay, and what you don't have agency over whether that's going to happen or not, whether you're going to get the promotion, whether you're going to get the raise, the new job, what have you. But if you proceed with the end in mind and you assume that's going to happen, you take agency with that assumption. And then in the near term, what you do have absolutely control over and you take agency on are the steps. Who are the people that you need to talk to? What are the things that you need to learn? Then you commit to those things. That's what I mean about agency. And so I hope these things are helpful. It's what I'm going to be talking about to a mastermind cohort today, and then a more broad audience tomorrow. If you have any questions, or if I can support you or your team, your organization in any way, please do reach out to me directly. And I hope our paths cross again soon. As always, I am cheering you on.